does having or faking a deep voice make you sound more authoritative? Our next guest is a vocal coach and director at the Mac project, Marianne McCormick. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Tom. How are you?
Well, I'm good, thank you. So it's alleged that former young billionaire in the United States, Elizabeth Holmes, she spoke in public always with a deep baritone voice. Now, some people said she faked it. Other people said, no, that's how she actually was. But is it a good idea to have a deep baritone voice if you're going to speak publicly or read the news?
Look, I think simply lowering the voice doesn't necessarily command power. It's much more multifaceted than that. So if we're looking at women in particular, just by them lowering their sound won't necessarily give them that command that they're looking for. It's about releasing their sound. So once they actually release their sound, they can access their full range, and who knows what that unique sound to them might be.
But I mean, plenty of particularly older people say to me that having a deep voice is important, male or female. If you've got a high-pitched voice, they just don't want to listen to you.
Yeah, well, they can both be due to restrictions. So if someone jams their voice down deep and it's restricted, well, then it's also not going to be necessarily commanding. But if it's also jammed up the top and it's tight, well, then we need to free that up too. So until, if someone really wants to explore their sound, it's about releasing all of the restrictions. So some of that's physical, some of it's emotional blockages, and really seeing where the voice naturally wants to sit.
How does one release the full range of sound of which one is capable?
Yeah, so it's quite a kinesthetic awareness. So you need to see a voice coach and really start to explore your sound, release any of the tension, really feel into the tension, and also work on resonance, placement. Breath is a big part of that too. So if your breath is restricted, that's also going to restrict your sound, whether it's deep or high.
And given that I just played several prominent newsreaders earlier, and they all have pretty deep voices, I mean,
they're all men too, Tom.
Well, that's true. That is true. But do you think that there is something to at least the theory or the idea that audiences want a deep voice?
Look, I think maybe years ago that was something that was the only way to find some, reassurance that I could, command the audience. I think we're in a very different age now, and it's not necessarily just about the sound. It's also about what's coming from inside of you. It's much more an inner job as it is the mechanics of the voice.
Right. Do you get people coming to you, either male or female, or say, I want to sound more authoritative, I want a deeper voice?
Yes, particularly with women. So this is very common. Women often find that their voices are either weak or high-pitched and strained. So it's about getting to the source of why that is. We're born with a voice, but we're a direct reflection of our experience. So the voice that we have today, walking around today, isn't necessarily our unique sound. It's a byproduct of, what we've been exposed to, the way that we move, the way that we think, with the way that we connect to everything that's about us. So we need to release that first. And then, yes, the voice will drop deeper, maybe not as low as Elizabeth's, but it will get more of that deeper resonance. It will free up. It will get off that sort of what we call the vocal fry, where someone's really, if they're going too low and they sort of start to sit on their throat, that's often a big concern for people coming to see me as well.
Final question. We'll just listen to Sir Eric Pearce again, the great newsreader from decades gone past, because he had, I would argue, a different way of speaking. Here's Sir Eric Pearce.
To our viewing friends throughout the state, thank you for welcoming me into your home each night.
You see, now, he doesn't have much of an ochre accent. Do you get people coming to you saying, I want to sound more like Sir Eric Pearce?
Well, I think Sir Eric was part of a generation where, there was a type of voice, there was an English influence, there was, putting on an accent, so to speak, for reading the news. I think, yes, there are people that come to me wanting a certain sound. That's not necessarily the sound that they end up with. I think it's more interesting for them to let go of that and see what that real sound ends up being, and they end up loving that more than the idea of what they thought they wanted to sound like. And through that process, you can, once your voice is free, you can do what you want with it. I mean, as actors, as presenters, we all start to explore the voice and move it in different shapes and ways that we want, as long as it's embodied in a deeper root.
Well, thank you. Yeah, well, it does. Thank you, Marianne. Marianne McCormick there, vocal coach and director at the Mac project. However, I've got proof here that you don't necessarily have to have a deep voice in order to succeed in show business.
Well, you can tell by the